and I've used this more recently than before, is to teach people that they are an eternal being. You will always exist as you. Doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, you're going to always exist. And where you end up is where you choose to end up in this eternal scheme of things. So if you always have that in the back of your mind, and it becomes a dominant thing to control how you think and how you act, then it's going to be a great deterrent for just the things we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't think about that often because we're in the mundane world and just dealing with life as it comes every day.
Mm-hmm.
But sooner or later, we're going to pass through that veil. And then what we've done here will take on tremendous aspect of what we will become.
Don't you think the adversary wants us to have a limited vision here, wants us to focus on the here and now and not think of really what our purpose is here and what our goal is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you always keep the goal of the celestial kingdom in your forefront of your mind.
Well, and we never stop learning. Besides the things of the world that we learn, we never stop learning spiritually. And where we do that's in the temple. Do you know that you're eligible to go to the temple?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you decided to go?
To go through the temple?
Yeah. I mean, for endowment.
Oh yeah, I want to.
You never really thought of doing it before you got married, huh?
Well,
I never really thought about that either, but you could.
That's a given, you know.
Yes, exactly. But to do it
they
before.
have said now they can before
Because
without going on a mission
Mm-hmm.
or
Uh-huh.
getting married.
I did hear of one person doing that, and they got special permission. But it's more.
Well, I heard, this is secondhand, I haven't seen it officially, but I have been told by some that it has come down that that's possible. I haven't heard it officially, so
Mm-hmm.
it's something you would have to ask your bishop about whether or not that's possible, if you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, that's interesting.
the temple is called the Lord's University.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we learn spiritually about
Yes,
the mysteries of godliness.
it's the best knowledge we can receive.
Mm-hmm.
She's been doing baptisms for the dead almost every week. It's so close to the campus. It's
Oh,
nice
Yeah,
to have.
wonderful.
I know. Just like
Well, that's
it's kind of a trek,
that-
but it's nice.
What temple is that? The Rexburg?
Rexburg Temple.
Rexburg Temple.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's up on the hill.
It's beautiful how it glows at night, and you can
Yeah.
see it from everywhere in the valley.
Yeah.
There, it's so pretty.
And they make sure not to build any buildings around it, so like pretty much everywhere on campus you can like see the temple.
So anyway, that's what I've kind of targeted more lately is the eternal nature of things
Mm-hmm.
and the responsibility we each have individually to that knowledge that we've been given as members of the church, which other Christians don't have.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know
Mm-hmm.
that much about our Godhead
Mm-hmm.
and our relationship with them,
Mm-hmm.
and what our potential is. Have you read that book,
Yeah.
The Message?
Oh,
Do you remember that book?
I love that. Yes. Well, you transcribed it from a tape, and I have those.
Well, that was.
Then I've seen the book
Yeah,
since.
that
But I
was
almost
the
like
talk that he gave.
Yes.
I transcribed.
I
But
really
then I
like
found out the book came out.
Yeah, I really like the talk and the book, the talk actually has some things that the book doesn't. Did you notice that?
Yes, that's right. However, I understood that after he wrote that book,
Mhm.
the other things that he talked about, you know, his interviewing all of these cultures around the world and that,
Yeah.
was in, I don't know whether it was in CDs or something, but he died
Yes.
in 2005, I think. But I don't know if you saw that book. It's this fellow,
I read part of the talk.
Lance
the talk,
Hans Richardson.
Lance Richardson.
Richardson, yeah.
He was an ill type of person. He just didn't have good health, but he got to a point one time where he got so ill that his body just started shutting down, so they put him in an induced coma for 7 weeks, in which he was in and out of the spirit world, and came back and just remembered it and told about it, which you don't hear about that. And from a member of the church perspective,
Mm-hmm.
so he gave us a lot of insights as to what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a temple there too.
Oh.
Everything he said too, when I was reading it, it rang true to me.
Yeah, well, it's logical
Yes.
that it would be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just love that account. It just makes it seem that much more real.
Yeah.
You realize how real it is. I think another thing that the other religions are missing is that what we have is that we actively do ordinances. It's
Well,
such a proactive church. I don't know. We actually.
Well,
It's alive. It's alive.
We have the
It's alive.
knowledge and have received the authority to do them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
See, that was another thing in the, let's see, it's in the lesson I'll teach tomorrow. In the Temple of Solomon, they put in a cast, what is it, metal, molten sea, they called it,
Mm.
which was a font. I mean, it's a huge font.
Oh. Uh-huh.
Holds 16,500 gallons.
Oh.
And according to Elder Bruce R. McConkie, they perform baptisms in it. But all of the places in the scriptures where baptism was from the apostles that wrote it, it's been taken out.
Wow.
So they don't know that they did baptisms in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that through modern revelation.
Wow.
So, there's so many things that were taken out of the
Mm-hmm.
Bible.
And do you think that was to gain power over the people? They didn't want. Why would they take those?
There would
It was
there
corrupted.
were probably many reasons
Yeah.
why that occurred. When the apostles and the saints were all killed off, there was no revelation. And so people were doing what they were doing on their own understanding, which was greatly influenced by Satan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so they would leave things out, thinking, this doesn't make any sense, because they were being influenced by him. There really wasn't any spiritual, there were people who were good and trying to do good, but with what they had, but there was no leadership in spiritual things.
Mm-hmm. Keys.
And you see things like this Nicene Creed, which came in 325 A.D., where they got all of their spiritual people together and put together this creed that says God is without body parts and passions. He's an essence everywhere and yet nowhere. Those things which are not logical in the first place, but totally foreign to what is real. And so that came down for centuries. And then when they did get Bibles, they didn't let people have them.
Mm-hmm.
The priests had to interpret them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the people who started translating Bibles into English and other languages so people could have them, they were killed for doing that.
Wow.
I mean, that's the way it was.
Mm-hmm. It makes you, yeah,
So
you know.
it shows you why it had to be restored,
Mhm.
Mhm.
completely restored.
And there
was
were all those
nothing-
little steps of people that were
Yeah.
that sacrificed their life to get to the point where
Yeah,
where it could the gospel
where we
could
had a
be
country
yeah.
free enough.
where it
They
could be
had
fully
persecution
restored.
anyway,
Mhm.
but they were able to get it restored.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they all played key roles in leading up to that point.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Anyway, we probably had enough sentences.
Mhm.